The mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and ignorance to madness. Text 10. Rajastamaschabhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamasattvam rajastata. Sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness, O son of Bharat, and sometimes the mode of goodness defeats passion, at other times the mode of ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. 11. Sarvatvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivridham sattvam ityuta. The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Text 12. Lopa pravritir arambha karmanam ashamaspiha rajasyetani jayante viridhe paritarshapa. O chief of the Bharats, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptom of great attachment, uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develop. Text 13. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivridhe kurunandana. O son of Kuru, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. Oh, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, then madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. In text 14, Yata sattve pravrite tu pralayam yati deha prit tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets. So we can go to text number 4. And we'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'll read the Sanskrit again because this is a famous shloka. Sarva yoni shukanteya mortaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahad yonir aham bij pratapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original Father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but in every planet. Even in the highest, where Brahma is situated, everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth there are living entities, even within water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the living entities being impregnated in the material world come out and form at the time of creation according to their past deeds. Maharaj, is there any comments that you'd like to make on this? So, this is a very important chapter, the 3 modes of material nature. I was reading earlier and somewhere Srila Prabhupada was saying, well, put it this way, in the beginning, Krishna is describing how great this transcendental knowledge is of these 3 modes of material nature. And he says that many saintly persons have attained the transcendental nature such as the Lord just by knowing this knowledge. So he establishes this point that if we understand this, then we can also know that. He says in text 2, by becoming fixed in his knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature, which is like my own nature. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. That'd be nice, right? To be undisturbed at the time of dissolution, at the time of creation. Because Krishna said here, he says that the material energy is created, it's his creation, and he impregnates this material energy, making possible the births of all living beings. That was the verse from yesterday. And then today, he says, he is that seed giving father. Aham bija pratapita. So, something significant about this chapter is you could say it starts from chapter 13, text 22, where Krishna says, Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sangosya Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So Krishna is telling Arjuna in this chapter exactly that the living entities are associating with the modes of material nature, and they're getting carried away in that lifestyle that they've associated with. And this word that he used, Krishna, he uses in this 14th chapter also. See if I could find. Anyways, Krishna, I was reading it earlier, but I clearly don't understand fully. But in this chapter, Krishna, he reiterates the same point. He uses the same words there, and he brings it up in the 14th chapter to elaborate. So we hear that he begins speaking about the modes of material nature, what they are, how they entangle us, how they bond us, how one acts when they're in these modes of nature. And Krishna, he gives more and more examples as the chapter goes on, all the way up to telling what their symptoms are of somebody who is actually transcendental to these modes of material nature. Arjuna, he asked 3 questions. He asked, what is someone like who is transcendental to this? How do they act? Very similar to how Arjuna asked earlier in the Bhagavad Gita. So we can keep reading and go through it. Maybe we'll discuss more as we go on. Does somebody want to read text 5? Is there a microphone? I'll read it because it's short. Material nature consists of the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the living entity comes in contact with nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the 3 modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress. You want to read text 6?
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. Purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahman, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant.
Yeah, it's said in the scriptures that no matter where somebody is in the material world, they always derive some pleasure from that place. So whether we're in the heavenly planets, here in the earthly planets, or even in the hellish planets, then still we think it's pleasurable, we think it's enjoyable. They're always suffering in every situation, but you're always trying to ignore the inevitable suffering and pain and trying to extract whatever pleasure you can. So we become conditioned by the modes of material nature in this way, and we try to enjoy, and we always think it's pleasurable. You know, and this great example is in the scriptures of Indra. He became cursed to live as a hog. He's living as a hog, and he has his hog family enjoying. And then I forget who, but some other saintly persons from the heavenly planets, maybe Brahma, they came to him and said, "We need you to come take up your post. We need you to come back." He said, "No, no, life is good. I have my wife, my kids. You know, we have all this food, we have all this land." So similarly, we do the same thing. And here, Krishna's making the point about the mode of goodness. Conditions 1, 2, concept of happiness, and we can see this. You know, I've traveled around distributing books. We meet lots of people, and some people are very more in the mode of goodness, but then they'll tell you, "Oh, this is good for you. I'm glad you found your way." Or, you know, I don't need this. I have my path, my way of understanding. Or people from India, I know Bhagavad Gita. I know. You know, there's not so much of an impetus to take it seriously. And this is why Srila Prabhupada, he brought his first group of disciples to India. He called them his dancing white elephants. You know, here you have these American and Europeans, they're like so ecstatic, shaved heads, and they're giving everything to chanting all the time, all the time. So they weren't as fortunate as the people in India to be conditioned more in a sattvic culture. So they experienced a lot more suffering because they were conditioned to the mode of passion, which we'll read next very soon. But, you know, it's unlimited desires and hankerings. So what everybody is desiring in this world, sex attraction, very nice foods, nice residence, nice technology, nice comforts of life, intoxication. Srila Prabhupada's disciples experienced it all. And they were not satisfied. And Srila Prabhupada came and gave them Krishna consciousness, knowing that that will actually bring them to full satisfaction. Because when Prabhupada first came here, he was on the pier in Boston, and he wrote this poem, and he quoted quite a few shlokas from the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here Srila Prabhupada was saying, "Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here. I don't know why you brought me here. It's so hellish. Everybody's completely covered by Tamagun and Rajagun. But you have some purpose here. You brought me here, so make me dance as you like. But then he quoted these shlokas from the second chapter of the Bhagavatam, because the second chapter describes this process very, very clearly, how one can come from this conditioned state, whether he's conditioned to complete tamagun, rajagun, or a mixture of all these different gunas, which we heard Krishna says they're always fighting for supremacy. It's never that one is always prominent. They're always fighting. Sometimes some things, or our consciousness, have more sattvic state, more passionate state, more ignorant state, especially according to the time of day, or what we eat, or how much we eat, or things like this. But it describes how this knot in the heart can be pierced, that it can be cut to pieces, it can be slashed, and then the person can be situated in sattva guna. What is it? Tada rajas tamo kama kamalobodayaschi chaita eterna vidam stitham sate prasidati. At that time, the lower modes of material nature are conquered, and one becomes fixed in sattva guna. In that time, stitvam sate prasidati. He becomes fixed. So prasidati, fixed in happiness. So this is different than this material mode of goodness, because the material mode of goodness has this tendency for us to be puffed up, to be prideful. Oh, I know more than this person. Oh, I'm better off than this person. Oh, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm content. But what's the impetus for one to come to this Shuddha Sattva state, this transcendental sattvic state? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. To always to hear and serve the Bhagavat, to serve and hear the book Bhagavat, the Bhagavatam, and the living Bhagavat, the spiritual master, Guru. I was reading earlier, actually, and let me see if I could find this real quick. It was very nice. It was Baladev Vidyabhushana. He commented on this chapter, and he said, he basically was describing how one can overcome these modes of material nature, and the point was that by adopting the consciousness of becoming a servant of Guru, by thinking of ourselves as my Guru's servant and fixing his order as our life and soul, it frees us from Maya. Because, as I read this verse in the chapter 13, text 22, we're just enjoying life according to the different modes that we're associating with. So we're going through life enjoying this, enjoying this, enjoying this. The drug addict thinks, getting really drunk and staying out all night in the cold and all this is normal life, this is fun. Sometimes we see such personalities. We're waking up, coming to the temple, and going to Guru Puja, and we're just starting our day, and this is the time of day that these people are crashing, and they think this is normal life, this is good, this is okay. Similarly, people in other modes of nature, they're doing things that they think are pleasurable or enjoyable, but from a higher state, you could see it's miserable. Just like when somebody is situated in the transcendental state, you could see, why would we waste our time running around chasing anything material? I mean, the whole world's going crazy after sex desire. I mean, you look on commercials on TV, advertisements, billboards, like everything is just completely propagating sex, 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 sex. This is what's driving the whole world. This is what in the 16th chapter, this is what the demons think. It's just lust only. But the devotee, he can see beyond this, that Why would I waste my time chasing something that's completely ephemeral, completely temporary? It's a complete waste of time. You have this big itch, this big urge, and it drives you to crazy lengths to do crazy things. And you satisfy this urge, and immediately you're just like, oh, that that wasn't that great. But then it goes away, it dissipates. But for how long? And then we have to do it again. And we have to do it again. And we have to do it again until you're just completely enslaved, ensnared in it. And this is what the mode of passion is. Unlimited desires, unlimited longings. It's like this fire that never goes out. You know, we have this itch. And we think if I scratch it, okay, if I just scratch it and deal with this itch, this desire that's nagging at me for so long, every day I feel like I have this urge. I wanna do this. I wanna do intoxicants. I wanna have sex. I want to gratify my senses in some way. Let me just cave in a little bit. But by us giving into a little bit, the urge just grows more. It becomes more familiar. It becomes more normal. It becomes easier to do it, easier to do it, easier to do it. And we lose our willpower. And then these things take over us. You know, the devotees can see beyond this and why one would not want to do that. There's a much higher satisfaction in not just restraining the senses, but engaging the senses in Krishna's service. By engaging the senses in Krishna's service, naturally, Maya loses its potency. Prabhupada, he describes that, you know, these senses are like snakes, poisonous snakes ready to bite us. You know, I see a beautiful woman or a beautiful man and I'm thinking in some lusty way, and then I feel like I have to satisfy this urge in some way. It's this snake ready to bite us, to take away our consciousness. So many times in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear of personalities, even very, very great personalities, becoming bewildered because of sex desire. You know, these are great, great personalities in the Srimad Bhagavatam who are adept at meditation, yoga, you know, fixed consciousness. So what to speak of us in the age of Kali, where most of us are coming from a background of experiencing all these things like I mentioned, intoxication, movies, television, you know, all these things that pollute our consciousness. So what do we have to do to remind us of all these things? So we simply have to step outside. We step outside anywhere. Maybe in the wintertime, there's a little bit shelter. Maybe one positive thing about the winter. But you go in the summertime and, you know, you go outside, there's certain music playing, there's certain smells in the air, people dressed in provocative ways. It's all there just to agitate the senses. And this is what everybody's doing. They're agitating each other's senses because it's a whole culture built on enjoying, 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 enjoying. But there's no enjoyment there. So it actually just makes the heart hard. And this is why so often people nowadays, it's hard for each other to talk to one another. You can look at young people, you know, they'll be sitting together, conversing, but all they're really doing is they're like rubbing on their phone while they're talking. You know, this person's talking about this. You know, maybe if I want to talk to the person next to me, it'd be better for me to like call them on the phone. And then, you know, then they're forced to hear me and talk to me and look at me. Otherwise, you know, there's so many distractions in life. We have no focus, no coherence. And we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam how this is becoming worse and worse. So we can read text 7 if you'd like, Prabhu. The microphone. If they're listening downstairs.
Rajoragatpakam vidhi Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam Tanni Badnati Kaunteya Karma Sanghena Dehinam. Translation: the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longing, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Purport: The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between a man and woman. Woman has attraction for men and men has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man is the mode of passion, wants more honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
This is an interesting point. If there's no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? So right before I heard this, I was thinking, what's a good thing about the mode of passion? One good thing about the mode of passion is that somebody is very active. They have many desires. They have much energy to exert in different activities. So one can perform these activities and take those fruits that he reaps and gives them to Krishna. So if somebody is conditioned to the mode of passion, then they simply just have to engage in service. And by engaging in service, then purification will follow. But the mode of ignorance is on the contrary to the mode of goodness and the mode of passion. Now, Krishna says the result of this mode is madness, indolence, and sleep. So madness as opposed to clarity and knowledge. Indolence and sleep as opposed to, activity and longing and desires. So tamagun is just completely, it's not beneficial for anything. So at least if we're in the higher modes, then we can engage in service. It's said that one has to come to sattva gun so they can actually hear transcendental knowledge. Then we can sit like we're sitting now and read, hear. And we may have different tendencies that happen with us. We may be feeling very sattvic where we just sit and hear, even though we're hearing from an incompetent speaker, but we're trying to hear the transcendental message and trying to connect with it. One time I was realizing that, even if we're hearing from a little kid talk about Krishna, depending on our consciousness, we can get very, very, very absorbed. Because, you're actually meditating and hearing and thinking and connecting to Krishna. But, if I'm sitting in a place and I'm like, externally, I might have a smile on my face or I'm trying to sit still, but internally I'm thinking, oh, this is boring. This sucks. I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to go do this thing. I'm looking on my phone of all these different activities, the things I'm going to do once I leave here, It's mode of passion. So what's the result of the mode of passion? Misery. I don't know if we read that one today or it'll be tomorrow, but yeah, the mode of passion results in misery, just results in pain because we're always hankering after something. We're never settled. We're never at ease. So this is the whole point why we follow the schedule that we follow. We wake up at a certain time every day, so we come to the temple. So we don't have to think about any kind of activities. Okay, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to engage my mind in chanting Hare Krishna. So we chant 16 rounds of japa. Why? Why not 1 round? Why not 2 rounds? Why not chant as much as you like, Chant until you get tired. No, we set a boundary of, okay, this is what I have to do at least every day. And then this is a barometer where Prabhupada never said just chant 16 rounds. He said chant 16 rounds minimum. Maybe there were specific cases he wanted some disciples to chant 16 rounds because they were very competent in doing other services, very important services. But in general, 16 rounds is the bare minimum. And if I could underline, put these type of things on my words, I'd underline the bare minimum, I always mention this point is that when we're chanting, if we're chanting and we're chanting with the mentality, okay, 14 rounds, okay, Jai, I only got 2 more to go. Once I get those 2 more, yes, now I'm almost there. I'm almost done. Now we have to examine how much are we really chanting, because we're chanting out of duty. There's no love, there's no taste. But if we're chanting and we're at 15 and a half rounds, almost there at 16, and we're getting there and we're like, wow, this is actually good. I don't want to stop. Maybe we have other services to do or a job to do, so we have to stop. Or maybe we keep going and chant a couple rounds, but that should be the mood, is that, wow, this is nice. I actually want to chant more. And how do we get to that point? You have to still the mind. You have to focus the mind on Krishna. We often talk about, or we often hear, we just quiet the mind and just hear the mantra. Yes, this is there. This is what Srila Prabhupada said. He said, what's the question of mind? You just hear. So if we're just hearing, there's no question of mind. But how many times are y'all able to just hear without your mind bothering you? I know for me, the mind always wants to give problems. So sometimes devotees take this away in a very impersonalistic conception of meditation. Okay, I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to hear and I'm going to control my mind. But Prabhupada also said this Maha Mantra, it's like calling out, a baby calling out for its mother. So the baby, when it's calling out for his mother, it can't think about things in the way that, an adult can, like we can. But its whole energy is one-pointed and focused. I need my mother, I need my mother, I need my mother. So when we're chanting, we should quiet our mind and just hear, but our heart should be there. Our heart should be there of actually calling out to Krishna, to trying to connect with Krishna. Imagine if right now you grab keys to a vehicle and you jump in your vehicle and you start driving, but you have no idea of where you're actually going to end up. How productive will that be? But, if you say, okay, I'm going to go to the store so I could buy something. So I'm going to go to this store and I'll get this and I'll get that. You have a purpose, you have an intention. Similarly, when we pick up our japa bags, we should have an intention. Maybe I'm very, very tired and it's a very bad day. Okay, I'm just going to do this because I made a promise to my guru that I'm going to do this. So let me just get it done however I could get it done. But we should be aware of why we're doing what we're doing every day. Why am I coming to the temple? Why am I coming to Bhagavad Gita class? Why am I coming to Bhagavatam class? If I'm coming to Bhagavatam class to sleep, like I could find a lot of other places that are better for eating and sleeping. So the whole point is that we're trying to connect to Krishna. So when we're chanting, we have to hear, we have to call out to Krishna, we have to focus. And if we can't focus and we can't hear and our mind's disturbed, then we have to cry to Krishna, Krishna, please help, please help. I'm trying to chant your names, but I just, there's no taste. I don't want to, but I'm trying. Please help me. Why are we hearing the Bhagavatam every day? Because we have to hear about Krishna. This frees us from the lower modes of material nature. But if we're bringing in the lower modes of material nature to what we're hearing, it's like our ears are filled with earwax. How much can we actually hear? So we have to keep our ears clean, per se. we have to really open up our mind and our heart to this philosophy, even though we hear it every single day. These lower modes are so deeply embedded in our heart. So deeply embedded in our heart. Like I said, all we have to do is just walk outside and we see one different thing, and it jogs our memory of how we used to live, or our unfilled desire, or some fear or anxiety that we have. And Krishna says, the man who's trying to control his senses, just one sense can carry it away. One of the roaming senses. So we have to be diligently in our hearing and chanting, and take Krishna consciousness very seriously. We have a very great opportunity here. You just do a little bit of service, associate with the devotees, hear and chant, and life will be sublime. But, we have to know where we're at. If I'm not able to just sit and hear and chant all day, then what's going to happen? This Rajagun will start nagging at me. You need to do something. You need to do something. Get up and do something. And if you don't know how to engage that energy in Krishna's service, then what's going to happen? You're going to start looking elsewhere. Why? Because the nature of the soul is to be blissful. So either we're going to become blissful in Krishna's service, or we're going to try to become blissful through the material energy. And Krishna explains here that this mode of passion, it's just, it'll never be fulfilled. There's never happiness. So it's all illusion. It's like trying to chase material pleasures. It's like this picture of this horse, who has a stick tied on his head, and there's a carrot sticking over top of his head. So he's walking, and the carrot's there, and the carrot's close. He's like, oh, I almost got it, and he keeps going, but he never gets the carrot. This is what material life is like. We think, oh, if I just connect with this one relationship that I missed out on, or if I, do this in this drug one more time, then I'll be satisfied and I won't have to do it again. Oh, that movie that I missed out on, if I just watch this movie, then my urge will be done. I'll be happy, and then I can be a better servant of Krishna. But no. But Krishna is so merciful. We may slip up and give in to our past bad habits. Krishna says this in the 11th canto, chapter 20, I believe. Yeah, he says that if one is practicing bhakti yoga, but due to his past bad habits, he slips up and indulges in these things. Even when he does, he knows that it's not good. He knows that it's temporary. He knows that it's not fulfilling. But it's just a past urge, a past desire that he had, that it's still there. So if we fall victim to this, don't worry. Just turn to Krishna, repent, take all that energy that you have of feeling bad and remorseful for that, and just engage it in Krishna's service, and Krishna will absolve us of our sins. But we don't want to fall in the habit of acting like an elephant, a bathing elephant. Prabhupada makes the point that, this is one of the worst sins, is that we do a sinful activity. We repent, oh no, Krishna, I did this, I did that, and then you go right back and do it again. So we were reading in the Nectar of Devotion yesterday, and it was mentioned that we have to learn to cry for Krishna. And His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami would say that our ISKCON temples are crying schools for Krishna. So we have to cry for Krishna. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way, because this is what the scriptures say, that there's no other way than chanting this holy name, the Maha Mantra. And what does Prabhupada say about the Maha Mantra? It's like a baby crying out for its mother. So the only way that we can actually attain our desired result is to cry out for Krishna. But we have to be aware, what is our actual desired goal? Yeah, we know that we hear every day The goal is Krishna Prema. But personally, is that our goal? Are we there? You know, am I desiring happiness and a comfortable life? Am I not happy in the situation that I am in and I want to be in this situation? I want to move here. I want to be in this kind of relationship. I want to be around these people. These may all be good, you know, if devotional service is the ultimate goal. But the point is, where is our vision? Is our vision on the ultimate goal? Or is our vision on mundane things or day-to-day things? Because Krishna says in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, this transcendentalist, he's Ekeha Karunandana, his consciousness is one pointed, it's fixed in the ultimate goal. But one who's not, Bahu Shakha Yanantascha, his knowledge is many, many, many branched. So this is a question we have to ask ourselves, because it's easy to come to the temple every day and hear this and hear this and hear this and hear this. Okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. But how much is our heart actually in that? And I remember when I was doing traveling Sankirtan, I was traveling and we were in North Carolina at New Goloka. And I remember I was with the devotee, very nice devotee, and I forgot how it came up, but he had a conversation and he mentioned that, you know, understanding the philosophy is hard, you know, but associating with the devotees is so nice and easy. And I was such like a new neophyte. I was thinking, oh wow, the philosophy is easy. I get the philosophy, but I don't know how to associate with the devotees. That's the tough part. And then he said, you know, if one understands the philosophy, they'll be engaged in Krishna service 24 hours. There's nothing that's gonna stop them from that. Just like Prabhu was mentioning, you know, any obstacle, anything that happens, it's just a stepping stone. It's just another opportunity to serve Krishna. So then at that point, I realized, okay, I have to learn to associate with the devotees because obviously I don't understand the philosophy. So we may have a tiny grasp of the philosophy, but deep in our heart, we may harbor so many different desires. And the more honest we are with it, the better, because there's going to be a purification regardless. So better we turn to Krishna, because we can hide everything from our own self. We can't hide anything from Krishna. And we can hide stuff from the devotees around us. I come into the temple, I have a smiling face. Seems like I'm ecstatic, but deep down I'm thinking, oh, why am I here? Oh, I'm miserable. Oh, I'm out here. I have to do this another day. Krishna knows all this. So we have to turn to Krishna. Krishna, I don't even know why I'm waking up in the morning. You know, I don't know what drives me to keep going. Please help me. Please help me. And if we do that, Krishna blesses us. You know, we keep turning towards Krishna, and Krishna keeps purifying our hearts, giving us more and more realizations why what we're given here is the greatest opportunity in the world. And not even the world, but the whole creation. So I'm just rambling on at this point. Thank you everybody for tolerating me. Does anybody have any final comment or question? Yes, Jagannath Prabhu.
So why do we do what we do?
Why do you eat?
Why do we do everything we do?
So why do you eat?
Why do we eat?
Why do you eat?
Why do I eat?
Yeah.
So I don't die.
Is that why?
I think so.
It's 8:30 in the morning, right after Bhagavatam class. How are you feeling?
Hungry?
That's why you eat. You're hungry. Why do you sleep?
Because I'm tired.
You're tired. Yeah, we have desires. We have a desire to do something, so therefore we do something. We might be aware of our desire or not aware of our desire, but ultimately there's a desire there. So everything we're doing, there's a certain desire that's driving us, that's propelling us. And our desire is actually controlled by these modes of material nature that we're hearing about. So in one sense, yeah, we do what we do because we have a desire, but in another sense, we actually don't do anything at all. It's just the modes of material nature dictating what we actually do. And that's the whole point of this chapter, where we'll hear later, where Krishna describes how one becomes transcendental to the three modes of material nature. I'll just read it real quick. He says, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any... Wait. Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate conclusion. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. But before this, Krishna also says that one who sees that it's just the modes of material nature acting, and that the soul actually has nothing to do with it. And this is how we become transcendental to it. So we could see that, if I'm talk about the sleeping example, if I'm just waking up in the morning and I'm in Bhagavatam class, I'm chanting japa, and the whole time I'm thinking, man, I just can't wait to be done with this so I can go to sleep, so I can go to sleep, so I can go to sleep. This isn't coming from sattva gun. This is being driven by tama gun. But it's not you, actually. It's just the conditioned nature that you identified with. So to become transcendental means to see the difference that I'm not this mode of ignorance. I'm not this mode of passion. I'm not this mode of goodness. I'm a pure living entity. Krishna Nitya Das, servant of Krishna. So does this answer your question? We do what we do because we have a desire, but our desires are dictated by the modes of material nature. We'll read. It's described in the second part of this chapter. Yeah, you have something to say?
I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can leave if they want to, but
Okay, so
I'll stay.
when cultivating devotees, say devotees in their first 10 years of performing devotional service, I'm wondering, it seems to me that the most favorable circumstances or nature to be accustomed to is the mode of goodness mixed with the mode of passion, because we know guna also means ropes, and a rope is intertwined. So these modes, it's not necessarily like a singular thing. This person's always in the mode of goodness. So it seems, since devotional service is perfection, and we get immensely purified by performing devotional service, it seems that the most favorable circumstance would be to be in the mode of goodness mixed with the mode of passion, so you can actually carry out that service. Is this accurate?
Well, the verse that we just read, Krishna says, Mam Chuyo Vibhicharina Bhakti Gena Sevate Saganan Samatite Tan Brahmaboya Kavate. One who engages in full, unflinching devotional service immediately becomes transcendental to the modes of material nature. So, from an external perspective, yeah, sattvic, somebody's peaceful, and rajas, they're active. So they're engaging that in Krishna's service, but that's just the external looking at it, because internally, the devotees acting on behalf of Krishna, so they're actually on the transcendental platform. So their consciousness might not be fully there yet. There's still remnants of this conditioned consciousness, but that will very quickly be purified, and quickly, not in the context of our life and how we want it to be, but quickly in the context of, we've been in the material world going up and down forever. So, in one lifetime, what to speak of a few years, you become purified from all these crazy desires that are embedded in our heart. That's no time at all. But, Prabhupada said, work now, samadhi later. So it's good to be active in Krishna's service. But also Prabhupada, he was emphasizing Nandi, going out and preaching and doing activities for the movement, not to just sit and do our own bhajan or do our own worship. So, everybody has different natures. Some devotees can sit and read for 8 hours a day. Some, you force them to read for 20 minutes and it's just like, I got to do something, Some will go do kirtan for 10 hours a day and they're totally blissed out. You put another devotee to do kirtan for 10 hours, he's just like, I mean, this is nice because it's kirtan, but it's not my nature. I want to do something else. let me do some cooking or something. You put another devotee in the kitchen, and he's just like totally absorbed. Another devotee's in there, and he's like totally spaced out because it just doesn't click for him. So whatever we have to engage in Krishna's service, and this is the perfection of life. So we're so entangled in the material world, we can't figure it out. We can't figure out our problems. Why am I depressed? Why am I, full with all these anxiety? All we can do is just engage whatever we're at in Krishna's service, and then purification will follow. So I hope that helps at all. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gauranatai ki jai, Vansha Kapatarubhyas Chakripa Sindhubi Vatapatitanam Pavanebi Vaishnavi Namo Namaha. (1426) Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatithaitan brahmabhoyaya kalpate. Krishna says if one takes to the bhakti yoga fully, without flinching, then sagunan samatithaitan, he comes over the gunas, and brahmabhoyaya kalpate, he comes to the platform of Brahman. But then you could ask yourself, why does somebody want to come